Adam, how you doing today, man?
Hey, Rob, what's happening? How are you?
I'm doing well. It's 25 years and counting for Counting Crows. Were you as blown away by the 25 years as I was when I saw it?
I'll be honest with you, it sort of snuck up on me.
Yeah. Well, but my first thought was 25 years. That must mean I'm getting old, and that can't possibly be true.
Yes, and I agree with you. It's probably not possibly true.
Right, yeah. No, there's no way. You guys are going out on the road with Live this summer to celebrate 25 years, and you've done tours with them before. You like to tour with friends, right? Is that something that's important to you, to hit the road with guys you're comfortable with?
Well, I just think it's a nice addition. You can't always do it, but it is a pleasure when you can. You're going to be hanging out for 3 months, and it's nice when it's someone you're friends with. I really enjoy that. Although we tend to meet the other bands anyways if we don't know them ahead of time. We toured with Citizen Cope a few years ago, and I loved it, and they were great people. I didn't know them before that at all, but we all got to know each other, and we just played a show the other day in Phoenix, and they played right before us, and it was great to see Clarence again. He's just a great guy.
Right. How much time do you spend looking back? I mean, we talk about being 25 years. How much time do you actually spend looking back over that career?
None.
None at all?
until this year when I have to. It's an interview question.
Right.
No, not really. I mean, I guess, when I'm doing interviews and doing press, I talk about it because people ask questions about things. But I don't think it's something I spend a whole lot of time. I'm still trying to figure out today and tomorrow. They're a mystery to me as it is. So I'm pretty focused on that generally. But, there's been a lot, people ask me things, I'll tell stories, I have memories. I enjoyed a lot of those times, and there were some really cool things we've done in our lives. I mean, we have done things. That's one thing about it that is interesting to me. That, when you're young, you want to grow up and have a meaningful life. You want to have, seen the world or seen things and done things, and, we've been really lucky that way.
Right. What stands out is one of maybe the coolest thing that you got to do?
I don't know.
No?
I mean, in a simple way, it's not going to seem that great to you, but when I was a kid, I went to a lot of concerts at the Greek Theater in Berkeley, and I thought it was the coolest place I'd ever been to, and I'm sure I imagined playing there.
Right.
And I have played there. I've played there many times, and it's funny because this first half of my life, I went to see shows there, and the second half of my life, I played shows there. And in a lot of ways, that's the coolest thing of all, because I dreamed about that particular place. And there were also a list of clubs. There were places that I had read about as a kid that I always wanted to play at, or, like First Avenue and where Purple Rain is shot.
Right.
Or the 40 Watt Club where the B-52s and REM came out of in Athens, Georgia. The Stone Pony in Asbury Park. There were a bunch of places around the country that I really wanted to play. The Whiskey A Go-Go on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. And I played all of them except for one. Royal Albert Hall in London was another one. Played every single one of them except for one.
Which one's the one?
I didn't play CBGB's.
Oh, yeah.
When we finally got to New York, it was already... The first time we were a little too small for it. The second time we were a little too big for it.
Yeah.
And we just never got to play there, and now it's gone. So we won't. But, I mean, every other one I got to play.
That's pretty cool.
There were about 10.
The thing I thought you were going to bring up, so I'll just go ahead and ask you about it since you didn't, was playing with our opening for the Rolling Stones on the Voodoo Lounge tour. What was that experience like? I mean, you guys had just blown up, but you went from, those were huge stadiums you were playing all of a sudden with those guys. What was it like being on the road with them for that short span of time?
It was really fun. I mean, they asked us to do the whole tour, and we had just booked our first headline tour that summer. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to cancel it, so I asked them if we could just do a chunk of dates. And they were great to us. And the nice thing about it was that they asked us back 2 or 3 other times to play with them, so we did get more time. And they were really cool to us. I mean, like, Ron and Keith would find us. Their dressing room was not only open to us, but if we didn't come over there, they'd come find us.
Oh, that is cool, because I think a lot of times that you think, it's the Rolling Stones. You think maybe they'd be standoffish and, or something. It's the Rolling Stones.
Well, the funny thing about it was that I was really sick for a few days right before it. I mean, really sick, like deathly ill, laid up with like 104-degree fever, laid up in a hotel in New York. And then the day of the first concert, which was also my 30th birthday, my manager practically carried me onto a plane. Like, my arm over his shoulder, I couldn't really walk very well. My fever broke on the plane. I got there. I felt fine at RFK Stadium in D.C., but I was really wiped out. I hadn't eaten in 3 days probably. my dad was there. He suggested I get some chicken soup, so they got some from me from the catering. And then I had missed meeting the band, so one of their guys came through our dressing room and said, "Hey, are you Adam?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, come with me. Keith and Ron want to meet you." So they took me through the bowels of RFK Stadium, and I come to this room, and Keith Richards and Ron Wood are sitting on this couch with a little coffee table in front of them, and they're pouring. They had just invented that Guinness can, the Guinness draft can with the little widget that makes it aerate.
Yeah.
And they were pouring themselves pints of Guinness. And we're talking for a minute, and Keith says to me, "Well, what are you drinking?" And I said, "Oh, it's just chicken soup. I've been sick." And he looked at Ron and looked at me and said, and then he just picked up his pint of Guinness and he held it out to me. He said, "Here." I said, "Oh, no, I couldn't. I've been sick for 3 days. I haven't eaten anything in days. I got to play in like half an hour. I got to go play." And he said, "Son, no one on earth knows more about playing sick than I do. Trust me, Guinness is good for you." and he just like held out the glass, and I looked at my dad, who's a doctor, but honestly, that made total sense to me. I mean,
right.
Really, there is no one on earth who knows more about playing sick than Keith Richards, and so I took the Guinness and drank it and felt worlds better. I felt so good. I was nearly bouncing off the ceiling after that.
Yeah, I would imagine if there's anybody who can coach you through playing in any condition, it's probably Keith Richards at this point. You guys did a great deluxe edition of August and Everything After. I don't remember how many years ago. It was for one of the anniversaries, the 10th or the 15th or something. Have you thought about doing that for any of the other records?
Yeah, I did. I really thought about doing it for the 20th anniversary of Recovering Satellites last year. Or the year before, whenever that was.
Mm-hmm.
But, we don't really have a record company anymore. And I had a bunch of cool stuff because we filmed a lot of things during that record. We had 4 different films we made during the record that would have been really cool. But we never really got around to it. I mean, I kind of like the idea of doing that stuff every now and then, but the truth is people don't really buy anything anyways. So I'm not, and it's a lot of like a game of telephone when we have the label that owns it still, but we're not on that label anymore. And so they're into doing stuff and we're into doing stuff, but it's like a game of telephone communicating with each other, trying to get things done.
Right.
And and so things just don't get done.
Yeah.
But maybe for that, because we do have so much material for it.
On that deluxe edition is the only, I believe, official release of my favorite Counting Crows song. It's a song called Marjorie Dreams of Horses. And I saw you guys in summer of '94 in Indianapolis, and you played that song, and you said it was going to be on the next record, and Recovering the Satellites came out, and it wasn't on that record. Is there an official version of that, and will I ever get to hear it?
No, it's usually there were other songs. I don't really write many extra songs, and I had written that song. It's one of the first Counting Crows songs, actually, and we tried to record it for August, and it just didn't work. We tried to record it again for Satellites, and that's when I kind of realized that there was just something off about the structure of the song. I loved parts of it a lot, but it didn't really have a chorus. It didn't really go anywhere like I wanted it to, and I just kind of put it to the side after that. I mean, I love things about that song, especially the first verse.
Yeah.
But a lot of it just didn't work to me. I actually, earlier this year, messed around with trying to rewrite it.
Yeah,
a little bit, and maybe someday. Yeah. I mean, it was planned for both those records, and it just it didn't. It wasn't until we tried it again with Satellites that I realized I felt like it had just some flaws.
All right, well, we'll agree to disagree on that. I love it. I guess I'll just live with the live version that came on the extra disc on the deluxe edition of August and Everything After. It sounds great that way, too. And that, of course, leads to the holy grail for Counting Crows fans, the song August and Everything After. Are we just never going to get to hear that?
Well, we actually played it. We did a show a few years ago with a 72-piece orchestra at Disney Concert Hall, the Frank Gehry building in L.A., and we did a version of it for that. And Vince Mendoza came up with completely original orchestral arrangements for all the songs we did that night. And we did August and Everything After, and it's the best thing in the show. It was really, really cool. But we didn't record it because I had been talked out of recording the show by my managers at the time because, for some good reasons, the union fees for the orchestra, for the Disney Concert Hall, and there was one other organization, it added up to about $550,000 worth of union fees before any money went into recording.
I see.
So
all right.
It was going to be kind of prohibitive, so his idea was, why don't we just do this show first, make sure it's good before we decide to record it. And we did it, and it was great. And I mean, I have a board tape of it, but the problem is we've never gone back to record it after. It's so expensive to record with orchestras.
Yeah.
We've never done it again.